So what's the future hold? In terms of growth, most of the firms said they expect to grow in the coming years. 7% said more than 10%, and 67% said less than 10%. Those numbers are down from 2014, which is interesting given the optimism. You might think that they might be more in line with that. But it could be that they're just sensing, when we do the survey, we can start conducting the survey in the summer, and that may be part of the reason for some of the results differing from some of the national surveys. In this particular instance, though, there may be a sense that, look, we think the year's going to go good, but hey, we're not going to, things could get tight in the last quarter. 2016 might start off a little lean. We're not going to bulk up. In 2014, 11% said they expected to grow significantly. This year's survey says there will be shrinkage. Unlike 2014, when nobody expected to shrink, 3% said they expect to shrink slightly. On the plus side, that's still better than 2013 and 2012's findings. As you can see, in 2013, 6.5% said they expected to shrink significantly, and overall 19.4% expected to shrink in 2013 and 6.3% in 2012. Layoffs, as I mentioned earlier, only 3% said they laid off staff. That's way, way, way down from prior years. As you can see, in 2014, you had basically like 18%, 2013, 17%, 2012, 22%. Another good sign. Only 3% said they expected to lay off staff in the coming year, which is also way down to prior years. As you can see, it's typically hovered around around 10%, a little above 10% the last several years. 3% said they laid off attorneys, which was also down from 2014 when 7% said they had. It's more in line with our 2013 findings. And 30% said they expected to lay off attorneys in the coming year, which is also down from recent years. Having said that, like I said, despite all the all the positive information and sort of the forward-looking perspective, again, hopefully it's done, and hopefully firms are looking to grow in certain areas, but I don't think we'll ever live without that threat for the foreseeable future, given how the economy, everyone says the economy's, it's doing okay, but it hasn't been the robust recovery that everyone's expecting. And I don't know that anyone has sort of identified what would be the next engine, like we saw with, with internet, or we saw with the real estate. I don't know that anyone has seen, or predicted what would be the next engine to really take the economy off. I mean, a lot of people thought energy might do it, but the depressed oil prices hasn't helped that. Okay, so hot and cold practice areas. And remember, this is their perspective. This isn't necessarily driven by data. This is driven by what managing partners think are going to be the hot and cold practice areas for the coming year. So for the 5th year in a row, the top 3 practice areas identified by the survey's respondents as growth opportunities remain IP, commercial litigation, and employment. And these were followed by M&A, venture capital, emerging business, and white collar. That second tier is a little bit different than we've seen in past years. In 2014, it was insurance litigation, real estate, M&A, and white collar. We've seen some change year to year in terms of areas identified as practice areas that were likely to decrease in demand. Bankruptcy remains the overall winner in terms of a practice area that people think is going to go down. And it's followed by insurance litigation, and then a 3-way tie for third. And it's interesting, we have this every year where there's some practice areas that appear both in the most likely to succeed and those that are going to go down. White collar, labor, and trust and estates. In 2014, you can see that bankruptcy, public finance, labor, white collar, and trust and estates were identified as the practice areas that were likely to decrease in demand.